Yeah, good morning. Hey, listen, we are here with Ramona Rogers. Hold on, I just blew my whole intro. Sorry, it's not your fault, Shante. I was just about to do my what is it's so funny. I've done 335 episodes and I always start the same way. I've never heard a voice jump in as I was just about to say, "What
It
up,
happens.
masters?" There it is. What up, masters? Welcome to another episode. It's so funny how that happens. It's
Yes, it
unbelievable.
happens.
What up, masters? Welcome to another episode of Path to Mastery podcast. And today we're here with Miss Ramona Rogers. What's going on, Ramona?
Hello, David Hill. Thank you so much for having me. I am so excited. I feel like privileged to be here with you today. So thank you for having me. Everything
Absolutely.
is going
Oh,
well.
thank you. I appreciate you. And we got our friend Shantae over here on Clubhouse, kind of managing the
Awesome.
room for us over here. So we'll be
Awesome.
popping over there in a few to answer some questions and get some engagement from Clubhouse. But
Awesome.
I'm glad we have you on today. And today we're talking about empowerment and how to put power in empowerment and
Yes.
build a business, ministry, or relationship. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute because I know you mentioned it was more of a spiritual, not a religious
Yes.
thing. And first thing when I saw ministry, I go probably to religion, right? I'm just
Yes.
telling you. And
Absolutely.
so a little bit about you. You're a serial entrepreneur, author, professional speaker, coach, and mentor. You're a mother of 4 beautiful children, ranging from 28 to 14. You said 28 to 14. How come not 14 to 28?
I know, right?
I'm just
Well, that oldest one is the best teacher. That's the first experience, right? So I
Amen.
don't forget it. Plus, he's the only son. So I
Amen.
am a mom boy. So all of the moms who have that son, and especially if he's the only and the oldest, would relate to that. So yes, very, very proud to be a mom boy of my sergeant son, as a matter of fact. So he's a
Oh,
sergeant in the military as
congratulations.
well.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thank him for the service.
Absolutely.
And
Thank you.
I am a father of 3 daughters, ages ranging from 31 to 6.
Wow.
And yeah,
You
but I
have your
usually
work
say
cut
it's the
out
other
for
way
you too.
around. But yeah, no, well, yeah, absolutely. I'm with my 6-year-old now, and
Awesome.
she's chilling. And
Love it.
you are also a glammie grandmother. Okay, got it. And yeah, they
Yes, yes.
they call me Iron Papa, is what they call me as a grand
Okay,
because I have
I
2
love it.
grandchildren as well. And
I love it.
I do Iron Man races and all that stuff. So my
That's right.
daughter's super cool. She always gets me like really awesome gear, like Iron Man type gears.
Absolutely.
All right, and also you're a business owner, entrepreneur. You spent 22 plus years in corporate America, where she had a great deal of success, and only decided to give up the corporate America in the last 3 years. She's a coach of woman empowerment and a purpose strategist. She's also a professional speaker and loves to use challenges to expand, elevate, improve everyone around her. She's a natural leader and she makes leaders around everyone around her, or something like that. Yeah, leaders make everyone around them better. Thank you. Yeah, let
Yes,
me let me
yes.
just read it the way it's written instead of trying. All right. Anyway,
You're
bios
doing
is not my
awesome.
strength, Ramona. So, but I appreciate you being here, and thanks for taking the time. This is I'm excited.
Oh, you're quite welcome. Likewise, likewise. Thank you for having me again.
So let's start off with you. So we'll start right at the title, right? So how to put power in uh, Penelope. Where are you going? Sorry, my little.
No problem.
Okay, just all right. So yeah, usually she's not with me when I'm doing this, but like I said,
No
my my
problem
my
at all.
my 11-year-old has pink eye, so my wife's with her right now at the
Oh
doctor.
my
Yeah,
goodness.
it's
Hope she
always
feels
it's
better.
always good stuff. Yes, amen. All right. So, and she was just gonna leave, like walking out the door. I'm like, all right, let's go.
I love it. That's
Amen.
life. That's
Yes,
exactly what life looks like, right?
it is. It is. Hey, that's it. You're not kidding.
They are
Um,
a part of it.
Amazing though. It's such a blessing, right? Such
Absolutely.
a gift.
Absolutely.
A gift. So how to put power in empowerment and build a business, ministry, or relationship. So first off, what does that mean? How to put power in empowerment?
Well, thank you so much for asking. And that is actually the title of my self published book, my first book that was published this year, 2023, in February. I self published it. It was supposed to actually be published through an actual publisher 2 years ago. Wrote it right in the middle of the pandemic in 2021. And I wrote it because, especially right there in the middle of, like I mentioned, the pandemic, there were so many people that was struggling mentally, financially, physically, in every way, shape, and form. There were so many people struggling. And I was encountering a lot of them online, on Facebook, on IG, on Clubhouse. We would do rooms and people would just show up in the rooms. And people that I looked up to and saw and had built a rapport and relationship with, all over the country as well. It was people from the UK, people from Asia, India. Doesn't really matter who they were or where they were from. They would just show up in rooms and they would just start pouring. They would mention something like they were struggling, or mention something like, I have gotten into this place that I'm having a hard time getting out of. I don't know what to do. I think I'm going to seek help. And I remember 2 or 3 of them specifically. Great friend of mine, Noni from South Africa. She's a PR public relations specialist, and another great real estate agent out of the UK popped into the room. And on the same day, 2 people in completely different parts of the world came into the room that I was in, sharing with another great friend. Don't know if you know her or maybe heard of her. Nikki Dare was on the app at the time, and she hasn't been on the app for some time now, who is also another great corporate leader. We come from the same background, corporate America, 22 plus years. And we were just doing a room and just trying to bring people together and things of that nature in the midst of this pandemonium, this pandemic, right? And that is when I said, I always knew that I had that particular need, I think, or passion. Some people would call it a need, others a passion, same difference for me anyway, to empower people. I mean, I'm also a mother of 3 girls. I mentioned my son earlier because he's the only one and the oldest, but I also have 3 daughters just like yourself. So that's something that we have in common. But I also know that whatever I do, I have those 3 young women, my daughters, looking and watching. So I always like to think that anything that I do, and anyone that I work with, and whatever I do to support and help them, I do it out of the kindness of my heart and the passion that I have for supporting, uplifting, and empowering others. And that is because if I one day am not in the picture, I would want someone who had that same passion to support, uplift, and help and empower. To, if my children, whether it be my son, my only son, or my 3 daughters, came across their path, or in contact with them, and was in need of someone just giving them a kind word of encouragement, uplifting, inspiring, and empowering them. Maybe they feel stuck. Maybe they feel stagnant. Maybe like those 2 people or 3 or 4 people that came into that room that day, to the point where it was so overwhelming that we stopped. And that room, by the way, where this happened is a replay. It's still there as a replay of exactly what happened that day in that room and what we turned that room into. So that is exactly what I am acting out and walking in the path of the person that I would want my children or their children to meet. And that would just give them a kind word of encouragement, or uplift them, or empower them to just rise above whatever is happening in their lives at that minute, to help them understand that it's not permanent. Your present is not permanent. It's just a part of a day, a small part of a day. And you can go there, but just don't stay there. And as long as you don't stay there and you're willing to empower yourself to keep moving forward, then you will definitely come out on the other end and still be able to see how powerful you are. So that's the power part of putting the power back in empowerment. Power, by the way, in my book is an acronym. So each word of that acronym stands for something. And I break that down inside of the book. So the book can be also purchased on Amazon. And several people have read it and bought it and purchased it. By the way, when I published it, which was a goal of mine at the beginning of the year to publish this book by the end of February, when I did publish it, I knew that I had done part of my life's work by publishing that book, because within 2 days, it actually hit #1 in 2 categories of parenting and relationships. And I never set out for it to touch parents, but that spoke volumes also to the people that were out in the market and what they actually needed. So they actually brought it and purchased it for that reason, because it was going to make them a better parent, or it was going to mend people's relationships either with their children or a spouse, or maybe even in the workplace. So however they chose to use it to help them, obviously they found the book, and it has helped several people based on all of the testimonials and reviews that were left on the site.
Awesome. Wow. I love it. Good stuff.
Thank you.
And I do want to couple, and you mentioned room a couple of times. It's funny too, just for people listening for context. Like, we know each other from Clubhouse, which some people might be like, "What do you mean room?" Right? Like, so for our
Absolutely.
listeners, because we spend time on an audio app called Clubhouse, and which, as a matter of fact, we'll transition to in a few minutes with Treads now coming out, which is
Yes,
super interesting. But I do want to go to something. When I was listening to you talk about encouragement, I want to talk a little bit more about encouragement.
absolutely.
Like, I feel like encouragement, like, no matter how like hardcore people are on the outside, some of us, everybody needs encouragement, right?
Oh my
Like,
goodness. Absolutely.
talk a little bit about that.
I love that. So I'm going to just mock your words. No matter how big or hard people appear, everybody needs encouragement. Absolutely. Wholeheartedly agree, David. And from the greats and the biggest in the business, let's talk spiritual or religious. You have your TD Jakes and your Keon Hendersons, who has just recently in the last year or so married Shawnee O'Neal, who is Shaquille O'Neal's ex-wife, and things of that nature. He's a huge, phenomenal pastor of churches in Texas and things of that nature as well. So I'm using a couple of just random examples that just popped into my mind. But now we go on to Clubhouse and we look at some of the biggest names of entrepreneurs, highly successful entrepreneurs, and not one of them are exempt from falling and from maybe their ego or their confidence being shaken by life circumstances that they might encounter. And sometimes they are too proud and hard, and they don't really openly share it with people that they encounter. But trust me, if they're human and they're breathing, yes, I agree. You need at some point in time to be encouraged. And sometimes you just can't give it to yourself by listening to a podcast or even by reading a book. You need to make that human contact. You need to hear that human's voice and the energy from that human's voice and heart, the message that's coming from their heart that's being transferred to you, to feel it in order for it to really resonate and to really lift you up and pick you up and just give you that little wind beneath your wing to keep pushing you a little bit further that day than you probably would have gone if you did not encounter them, regardless of whether it was on an app or in person or on a phone call, or regardless of how you connected with them. But there isn't anyone, no matter how hard you appear, that doesn't need encouragement. Absolutely, wholeheartedly agree. Especially even from children. There are studies now and articles that I've read where children right now, from as early as 9 and 12, are suffering from mental health issues related to the pandemic, from the lockdown. Because remember when everybody was from school, out of school, and at home now, homeschooled as a mandatory requirement for most states, they no longer had that connection with their friends and that social connection with their peers. So now they're sitting in a room for 8 hours a day, not just even 4 hours, 8 hours a day, and they have no interaction. Those little conversations that they have with friends, whether it be a little bickering or a little argument that they have with a friend, or they have a bad day and a good friend or a close friend picks them up and just encourages them. They need to hear it from their peers as well. So you and I, David, are peers, examples of peers anyway. And I remember being in rooms with you on Clubhouse also, hearing parts of your story. And I remember just unmuting and speaking life into you as well a couple of times on a couple of occasions after I heard your story. And that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
It's those connections that are priceless.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. And, I think even, a couple years later, like I set up a studio over my garage. We built a room, and
I
I
love
love
it.
it. It's great. I got a stand-up area over here. I do podcasts,
Amazing.
and then I got a desk on the other side where I
Oh, I love
sit
it.
down, greens, whole deal. But it's like you're by yourself. Like I spent like literally like 2 years by
Yes.
myself for the most part. So
Yes.
now it's nice to like now it's brought me back to like 30 years ago. I used to
Right.
go to trade shows. We used to work trade shows, and I'd go around and I'd be at a booth, or I'd be going to other booths
Right.
and talking to people selling advertising. That's how I got started.
Wow.
And
Amazing.
now it's like it's kind of brought me back to like I want to do more of that again, right?
Yes.
Ramona, I want
Yes.
to be out with people. I want
There
to
you
like it.
go.
Yeah, it's so
That
yeah, anyway, it's getting
that
me out.
proves, I think that proves what you just shared, proves what you come from the same era that I came from as well. Belly to belly
Mm.
contact. It's meeting that person face to face, looking them in the eye, that handshake, and that exchange of a business card or a phone number, and then the follow up call. And then the relationship starts to grow and flourish. And nothing can replace it, honestly.
Ramona, we
But
used to remember we used to have the you may relate to this. We used to have the Polaroid camera
yeah,
that you take the in we're probably aging both of us, and
no, no, I know, I
you're
know.
I'm sure you're younger than I am, but you take the Polaroid and then
Yes,
you'd send it to like I'd send it to him after,
I
like
know.
here's a piece of
Oh, just the
memorabilia.
mention of Polaroid, our
Yeah.
kids are like, Polaroid, what's that?
It's that,
Yes,
but it would come out. It was you take
it
the
would come out
picture and then
instantly.
slide out, and yeah, and
And
you'd
you
have
had
to
to
take
shake it.
two of them
You had
so
to
that you
shake it
had
to let it
one.
dry
Oh
faster.
yeah, shaking it, of course.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah, and then
Yeah, we're telling our age right
you'd have
now.
your map as you go in places. The map in the
It's
car, and
yes.
you stop at cell phone, pay phones with dimes. Yeah,
The
yeah, yeah.
memories are priceless. Wow.
All right, yeah, bringing us
And look
back.
at where we are now today. Here we are together chatting on a podcast. Isn't that
Remember the
amazing?
fax machine, Ramona? I remember
Oh,
I used to wait by the fax machine for my contracts to come through. I'd be out
yes.
of my mind. Like, where's my contract?
And then you sign them,
Yeah,
sign a contract and send it right back.
that's
And,
right.
and they're waiting on the other end of the fax machine. Now it's like digital. Oh my God, it's
Oh,
right
it's
now. Like
crazy.
2 minutes later, everything's
Yeah.
done.
Sorry for bringing us on a complete
Oh no, no,
left
that was
turn.
beautiful. I love
Um,
it. I love
so I want to get into treads in a minute, but also the business ministry or like because the way I was when I saw your title, it said how to put power in empowerment in build a business ministry or relationship. So
yes.
what exactly what do you mean by business ministry or relationship?
I am so glad that you asked. And that was the reason that I actually subtitled it that way, is because people think that they're different. Business is ministry. Also, ministry is built into your relationships as well. So there isn't really a separation. People operate in them separately, but the same exact thing that it takes to build a relationship and to maintain that relationship. You don't want to just create the relationship and then just discard it, right? You want to build it and
Mm,
you want to curate it. You want to nurture it, right? And then when you build a ministry of any kind, and a lot of us have ministries, we call them communities. Well, guess what a ministry really is? It's just a community of people all coming together, sharing their ideas, beliefs, or strategies to either become more of whatever it is that we want to be. So if we need to have more faith, maybe in a church, that community comes together to build their faith. In a relationship, people come together to build a community of people who are all working towards the same thing, whether it be two people, like a spouse, or in a relationship, but a one-on-one relationship, or whether it be a community or relationship of women who are all coming together, like my Preneur Queen Club that I created as well, coming together in an ecosystem where you are all supporting each other, building a rapport with each other, growing together, sharing ideas. You share what you do in your business. I share what I do in my business. You share your experience and expertise. I share my experience and expertise. And we all come together now, growing and expanding from each other's, pulling from each other's knowledge, skill, and expertise and experiences. And it makes us all expand and grow together, all moving in the same direction. So with that, that is exactly what I mean when I said business. You can build a business, you can build a ministry, or you can build a relationship, because they all encompass the same exact principles. Coming together, a group of people, two or more coming together. It could be two people, it could be 20, it could be 80, or it could be 800 or 8,000. But the point is that we're all coming together with the same common goal of building sound, strong relationships, and all for the same purpose. Meaning that purpose strategy part in my title is for the same purpose. So when you know your purpose, the purpose that you're here, the purpose that you show up every day, what is my purpose? Some people call it a why. Why is no different from a purpose. I'm here to make strong, meaningful connections, connect with other like-minded individuals, and we all grow and expand together in that same purpose that we came together for. And once, just like anything else, like that rubber band, once it's stretched, it'll never go back to its original form. So by me and you connecting, sharing ideas and things of that nature, I've heard life-changing ideas that you just had the opportunity to share on high ticket strategies when you came and participated in the conference, virtual conference that took place last week. I've heard you on the stages of Breakfast with Champions and sharing major gems and strategies and value on a variety of topics. And I am better and more expanded because I was in proximity to, again, community. And some days, I believe, even Glenn Lundy, who has built a phenomenal community there in Breakfast with Champions, he's much more spiritual on some mornings than he is on others. Some mornings he's much more business, other mornings he's spiritual, and it's his ministry that he has curated and created. So can you separate him from business? No, he's still strictly business, right? Can you separate him from ministry? Ministry is just another fancy name for community. And is he curating a relationship with all of those people that are in that room every single day, Monday through Friday, in Breakfast with Champions? No, it's all the same, one and the same.
I love it. So sorry for people most people listening on audio, but if you see me, my 5-year-old's just got my attention. That was all it. She's waving, blowing me kisses. My wife just got home.
And I love it. I love it.
It's a gift, right? It really
yes,
is.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's beautiful to watch how you're juggling work with parenting. And that's what it's all about. That's what we do. We're multifaceted.
You have to be. Yeah.
Yes.
There was something else I was going to ask you, but it slipped my mind. Okay. But it's all good, you know?
Yeah.
If it comes back to me, it comes back to me.
Absolutely. Great question though. How is business, ministry, and why did I choose business, ministry, and relationships?
Well, you know what? That's the thing. So what I wrote down too is it's coming together, community, and relationships. I think that's why Clubhouse is so effective. We've been talking about that recently. Like there's a group of us that always end up back there. Why?
Yes.
Because we're all friends, and right? Like
yes.
where your buddies are. It's like
absolutely.
Even with some people, I'm like, I'm not even sure about this person, but it's like you just end up going back because it's
yes.
like you know absolutely. It, you're comfortable. They're kind of part of the community, right?
Exactly. Absolutely. Absolutely.
It's pretty wild.
Yes, it is. When you really think about it, right? Whether you, like you just said, you might have a few questions about it, but you still come back. And that's all a part of curating. That's what you're doing. You're nurturing it. You're saying, you know what? Let me just come back and just take another listen and take another look and see if there's something that doesn't resonate with me different today than it did the day before or the week before. And one day you come back, you're like, you know what? They aren't half back. Oh, okay. You know what? Yeah, they do resonate with me. Oh, they do add value. I see how I can learn something. And I did get something from them today. So that's what it's all about. And that's how you too, by coming even back to that community or back to that person's ecosystem, you too are now empowering them by default.
Yeah.
Believe it or not.
So we have some people on Clubhouse. So I'm going to open it up in a few on Clubhouse for some questions.
Sure.
And so we'll get a few people involved in the conversation.
Oh, I would love that. Thank you.
It's been fun. I started doing this about a year ago.
Awesome.
So let's talk about Threads though, because Threads. I keep calling it Treads, but it's
I
really
know.
Threads. And
Everybody has their own little name
it's
for it.
it's 3 days old. 80 million
Yeah.
followers, I think, or
Yes.
something, or 80. It was like
That was,
83 this
and
morning.
that might be old now because that was a couple of hours ago. So it now
Yeah.
maybe have hit maybe
80,
100.
85,
Who
90,
knows?
100. Yeah, it's crazy. And
Exactly.
I'm going all in on it. The first day was super. Well, you know what? There's people that are like staying up all night, and
Right.
I just refused to do that last night. Plus, I
Exactly.
had a 3 hour workout this morning, so it
Awesome. Love
would have
it.
been tough. But what are your thought on this new app? Everybody's jumping on it. I'm all in on it as much as I can be, with the
Exactly.
exception of staying up 24 hours. But
Right. Right.
what are your thoughts on it?
Well, I disagree with staying up 24 hours. For those, the broader listening audience, if you're staying up 24 hours for an app, that's probably not as healthy as you probably think it is, even though it's
Get
brand
more
new. But
followers, but yeah.
I understand the pandemonium, right? I understand the excitement, the FOMO, which is the fear of missing out. However, are you really making much more headway or getting more followers just because you're awake? Probably not. People who are meant to see your post and resonate with your post are still going to see it whether you're
Good
sleeping or
point.
awake, right?
Great point. Yeah.
By default, because they're coming on to the app in the millions. So I would definitely say don't lose any sleep unnecessarily, because it's just going to make you a better person with your rest and things like that, more alert the next day and more
Yes.
able to still accomplish more things than just focusing on the app. So get yourself a schedule. You wake up and you do your morning routine, like you just said, work out and everything, and then you give yourself maybe 2 hours to do all of social media, post on all social media sites still, because what I've learned and what I see coming and what I see happening right now is all of these social media sites are getting ready to communicate with each other anyway. And we have apps right now. Some of them are AI generated, some of them not, like Hootsuite that communicates with all of the apps already. So why not, with whatever posting you're doing, why don't you just use one of those scheduling apps like repurpose.io that you can just connect all of your social media sites with? You make one post and you just hit send and it goes out to all of them. And now you're not missing anything, and you're still making sure that you post, and you're still making sure that you're present on all social media sites. So what my thinking is you spent 3 years, we all have spent 3 years building this empire on social media called presence, right? So why would I now completely disregard or ignore IG, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, just to give all of my time for 2 or 3 days to this one spot, one place, this new app called Threads, which it's powerful, which it is awesome. I'm there, I post. But what I was doing was I was just on a training with John Lee, which is the 3-day business wealth summit. But guess what I was doing while I was listening? While he was on breaks and he was in between just chatting, I was posting, not just on IG, I was posting on Threads. So you
Mm.
can figure out ways to still get it done without missing hours and hours of sleep. Now, if there's an awesome room on Clubhouse, and I think you were in a room last night on Clubhouse called, John Lee's room, Entrepreneur Millionaire Secrets Room, you were just there too, and we were getting value. We were exchanging ideas of what other people were doing that worked, and little things that they have found, or this little button is for this, and I learned
Mm.
this and that. And I saw even posts where people said when it first opened, the app first opened, you can connect it to another app and things like that, or post from IG. Now you can know, you see how quickly they even changed. Now you can no longer post from IG. You have to now leave IG to go over, because the app is owned by the same people. So they don't want to take away or kill one of their apps. They don't want to starve an app to grow an app. They want the same exact engagement, equal amounts on all platforms. So when they saw that the numbers were declining on one, they stopped this one thing that they had added, this one aspect that they had added. They saw that it was draining another app, so they stopped it that quickly. And that's exactly how quickly we have to learn to pivot as well. So I am all for being the founding member, coming on and jumping in early, getting in early, because he announced beta. It's a beta. It's in the beta stage, right? We remember when Clubhouse was in the beta stage as well, where you had to be invited to come. It was exclusive. And that's what caused all of the hoopla or the energy around it. So anytime anything brand new that is introduced, you're going to have that period of excitement and high energy because it's fresh, it's new. And people in general are also very curious by nature. So it causes us to stop, pause, and go with the masses. But my suggestion is yes, go over and take a look. Yes, go over and post. Yes, go over and create your account. And then while all of the masses are looking in the other direction, why don't you go back over to where what you were using that worked all along, where you built a great audience, who loved your content and engagement, who will never probably even go over and create an
Mm.
account on Threads. So you may be ignoring your a beautiful audience that's engaging with you, that's buying all of your products and services that don't go over to Threads and aren't interested in finding you somewhere else. They like you right there on IG. So how about you focus still the same amount of time that you put and energy you put into whatever platform you're using. For some, it's LinkedIn, others it's IG, others it's Facebook. So still give your current audience that has really been truly loyal to you, still give them their nurturing that they were used to from you while you fit in a little bit of time to devote to this new app called Thread. So I'm all for it. I love it. I post a variety. I'm testing what works for me because what works for my audience, what attracts my tribe may be very different from what attracts your tribe. So some people say, this is the only way you do it. This is how you grow. Well, that's for their tribe. So what resonates best with my people, with my tribe? What content do they want to see from me? And what content that I post is it that gives them gives me the best engagement and gives them the best value? So that's what I would say. That's how I would say that I would use it if I were you or anybody else that's listening.
Yeah, it's a great answer. It's different than most of the answers because most of even me last night, like I think you were on there too. I was like
Yes.
11:30 at night. Very rarely am I even up at 11:30 at night. But so to
Exactly.
me, that's going all in, right?
Yes,
Like
absolutely.
staying at it. But yeah, but great message though. And you're right. We can't just forget about everybody now. So I posed a question the other day. I was doing a room on this, and it's like, I guess what has to happen for, like, right now there's a buzz, it's a shiny object, and we've seen
Exactly.
a lot but the difference I think in this one is, is really the fact that Meta is putting it out, and Zuckerberg really is the for a lack of a better term, the goat of
Yes,
social media, right? So
absolutely.
to have that backing, you got to think
Yes,
these guys have done some homework, right?
absolutely.
Um,
Absolutely.
but anyway, it's just, I personally think it's gonna. I guess the question I was asking is, what for 3 months from now, are we still going to be this excited about it? Like, are people still going to be on it, right? Like, what has to happen for that to be the case?
Well, I think he is definitely a genius, and this is his lane of genius. Collecting data for one, which people can't see. All of the data that's being collected for one is what he's most genius at. But creating these types of apps, communication apps. I think a lot of people miss the communication part, which is what so many people, humans, that's what we do. That's the first thing that we learn to do is communicate, right? From birth, we learn to communicate. When babies can't talk, they cry, and that is to communicate.
Mm.
So I'm hungry or I'm wet or whatever the case may be. So when you see this pandemonium shifting the way that it has, that is people communicating to him, to Mark Zuckerberg. Wow, I trust you. I believe in you. I've seen you do it once, and I know you'll do it again. And when we look at Facebook right now, there was rumors even, I think right there in the pandemic that, Elon Musk is going to buy Twitter. That means Facebook is going to die. Well, as you can see, nothing has died. Not
Yeah.
even Clubhouse. It changes though. So you will see there are cyclical changes. It's a cycle. There are definitely cyclical changes. Just like the market, what goes up has to come down, right? It's no different from business. What goes up comes down. Business is not a straight line from the start to the finish and that's success, or a straight line upward even. It goes up, it goes down, it ebbs and flows. So that's what we're going to see after the excitement dies down and it levels out. However, I don't think it's done scaling for a long time. It's going to keep growing and keep scaling for quite some time. How much time? That depends on just how much energy he puts into making all of these announcements and making all of these changes. And that just creates another flurry. It's a buzz effect. It's a marketing buzz effect, which is a term that John Lee just coined and shared with us actually inside. He said, that's how you launch things. You create this buzz around it. So he actually spoke about it and said it was going to launch the next day. But because of the excitement and the energy of so many people flocking, he said, oh, I'm going to hit the button today. And that's what happened. He caught people off guard. And that's why you see this whole entire influx of people that's feeling like, oh my God, get in early. And then people are like, get in now, get in now. Well, I don't even know what get in now means. Will getting in now mean anything different from getting in next week? No. But of course, get in early, be the first. Everybody knows from children, we fight to be the first in line at the lunch cafeteria room or coming off of the playground. So it's kind of like, again, that fear of missing out. That's all. I think that, but it's not done scaling, and it's going to scale for some time because I think we were overdue for something new. The last big new thing was what? Clubhouse. And look at what happened. Millions came, right? But they were locked down. But then as soon as everything opened back up and then they were distracted with life again, it died down. So the same thing I think will apply.
Yeah, it's also a really seamless entry point through Instagram, which I think also is making it so easy. Yeah.
Wasn't that a big learning moment for all of us business owners? Create the least buyer friction. Make it seamless. When you make your customers jump through hoops, they are less likely to buy also. So that can also be translated into sales, even though he's not selling anything. But when you really reduce the buyer friction or customer friction, since they aren't buyers, customer friction, they will come in droves. And they will, when people heard, oh my God, it communicates, it pulls in all of your file. That's less work, because now I have, if it wasn't that way or structured that way, I now have to go out and do extra work to try to get people to come in when all I have to do is hit the follow all button and all of my followers just get populated onto my, So that's really reducing buyer friction or customer friction.
So we have, we got time for maybe a couple more questions. I know we had planned about 30 to 35 minutes. We're at about 30, which is cool. But I did, we have some of our friends here on Clubhouse. So does anybody, if you have a question on Clubhouse, just give me a flash and we'll see if we can get to a couple Clubhouse questions. Anybody? All right. Well, nobody on Clubhouse seems. Oh, Vashon does have a question. What's up, Vashon? How are you?
Oh, Vashon. Vashon always asks the best questions. I love it.
Oh, good. I love the best questions.
Ooh,
let's see. No pressure at all. Come on.
No pressure at all.
Yeah,
and I love answering them.
Okay. Yeah, no, I just thought thank you so much for your shares, your wonderful shares and your amazing perspective. And I think you're absolutely right as far as, there's this, the FOMO, right? And I think we're all being subjected to a little bit of FOMO when it comes to this thread craze. But I am curious, you said you had a little bit of a strategy, you were testing different things. Would you mind maybe sharing some of your results on what's working for you and your audience, or what you think is maybe the go-to strategy for your audience? I know it's different for everyone.
Absolutely. Yes, it is definitely different for everyone. So because I am an empowerment coach and because I'm a purpose strategist, and remember, Threads has that one seamless aspect to it that brings all of your followers from IG. It's connected to IG. And I already know that my core audience, my core followers are used to me delivering a certain type of content. So and we also know, David could definitely attest to this as well as you, Vashon, we already know that our core tribe, our core followers are already accustomed to how we communicate with them. They have let us know what they want from us and want to see from us, right? So my suggestion to anyone going on Threads is to stay true and be your true authentic self and just post exactly what you've been posting before. And what I started doing was doing just that. And that is exactly what's getting the most traction. The most traction for me right now, because I only have 3 days to really use as a gauge anyway. So what I see is, you know what I did as a matter of fact, for those couple of days that they would allow it, I would just simply go to IG and I would click the little share button. And then I went down and I saw Threads. I don't know how many people know that. Threads is right there listed amongst all of the other social media sites. So right there from your share button, you can hit share, and then you can actually go and share it on Twitter. You can share it on Facebook. You can share it. And then Threads is now an option. And I went and just shared some content directly from my IG that I had already posted, that all of my followers are on IG would love and engaged in. And I just simply reposted it right there on to Threads. And that for me is the best, I think, strategy is to just stay true to who you are and just transfer all of those posts, that especially those posts that got the most engagement from your IG, just copy and paste them right over to Threads. And it's effortless and seamless, and it's the least amount of work as well. So, and those people, the newer millions of people that get on to Threads that you may not have met, those people that resonate with that particular type and style of content, the new people are going to show up. And that's exactly what I'm seeing. So I'm just simply building my audience. I'm curating and continuing to nurture my current followers, and then the new followers that are seeing my content and being introduced to me. Maybe I went over and followed 20 people or 50 people that day. And now when I follow them, they follow back. Or before they even follow back, they go look at my content. If it resonates with them, they click the follow button. And then in my content, I could also add a call to action and say, follow me. If you're new here and you don't know who I am, follow me. Click that little IG button at the top right corner and follow me on IG. So you can actually build your IG account as well. And a lot of people are reporting that they're building their IG account, which was very difficult for some people to do before.
Yeah, great. Thank you. Great question, Vashon. Thanks for the question. The interesting thing too, we were talking about this the other day, is I have so much content in my phone that's already been posted. And I think it's such a great opportunity to go back. And I've thousands of videos in hundreds.
Empty those cell phones.
Yeah.
Empty the drafts, even your drafts.
Well, you know what, too, Ramona, is we have to realize too. There's a Cardonism that he teaches us.
Yes.
Is assume nobody sees it. So all the stuff that we're looking at, and we think, oh, I already posted that. It doesn't even matter. You could post it 3 days later, and half the people didn't even, 90% of the people didn't see it anyway, right? So I think it creates a great opportunity there as well to go back and some of that old content. So
I love that.
Well, listen, I appreciate you, doing this, and I'm gonna bring it back to you over here. Kind of like, well, first off, how do people get in touch with you if they want to get in touch with you? Copy of your book, what's your Threads handler, all that stuff.
Absolutely. So I can be reached on IG at Ramona Rogers 959. Ramona Rogers 959 on IG. On Threads, same thing. I am Ramona Rogers on Threads as well. I don't really typically change my handle. On Clubhouse, I am at Radical Ramona, because someone else had Ramona Rogers. So when you first registered, they gave you your handle. So that's the handle that they gave me, or that I selected as a backup when my actual name was gone already. So on Clubhouse, I am at Radical Ramona. And then I am also on LinkedIn. I'm not as prominent on LinkedIn or there as frequently as I am on IG and Facebook. And then on Facebook, again, Ramona Rogers, and it's Smith, because I was married and I'm now divorced. So that was my original name while married. So that I'm there on Facebook also. And I am also on Twitter, and that is at Ramona SMI on Twitter. And then I think I covered everybody, right? Yeah, that's it. So, and they can also go to RamonaRogersOfficial.com. I am in the process of rebranding, so that site's going to look very different soon. I'm being rebranded, and my site will include a metaverse store coming up, a pop-up store with all of my products and services will be there also. In fact, I have a meeting with them today Just finalizing some details, and that will be up and running very shortly. So bear with me while I do the rebranding, but it's coming, definitely coming soon. So yes, that's where they can find me in
Good
all of
stuff.
those platforms.
Good stuff, Ramona. Well, listen, we appreciate you. Just like a final thought on the empowerment and what we talked about earlier. If there's one thing, some like you wanted anybody to walk away with from our conversation today, what would it be?
Absolutely. So from our conversation today, what I would want for anybody who needed empowerment is to just know that they are definitely not alone. There is a phenomenal community of people on all of these platforms. And if they were just to want to reach out, maybe for coaching, and guess what? All of the greats have coaches, believe it or not. They may not announce the coaches' names or the mentors' names, but everybody needs a coach or a mentor. So when we think about Michael Jordan, he had a coach. I'm talking even coaches on the side of his head coach to help him level his game up. The Oprah Winfrey's had a coach. They had a coach on the side of her speaking career and helping her to bring more content and helping her to curate or produce her shows and things of that nature. I know you, David, mentor and coach several people as well. So I remember stories that you have shared at times where you said, you know what? I had to work on my belief as well, which is why I also renamed my business Empowered Belief Coaching, because I empower people to believe in themselves. And I sell confidence. Confidence is what I sell. People, well, what do you sell? I sell transformation through confidence, because if you are not confident, that is going to be a block to getting you to the next level in anything that you want to achieve. And that is what is sold to your customers when you're speaking about your products and your services. They can hear and feel your confidence level. And that is why when you have more confidence in yourself, that is why you now all of a sudden, and I think you shared this story, and I can definitely attest to it. You shared how as soon as you started believing in yourself more, and as soon as you invested in yourself more, now you were able to attract customers that trusted and believed in your high ticket services.
That's right.
And you saw a huge jump in your sales, correct?
Massive. Oh, 100%. Yeah, 100%. But
Absolutely.
the other thing I had to be committed to doing, Ramona, is walking away from all the other ones that were not the best customers and the highest, right? Like the 80-20 principle. I had to be willing
Absolutely.
to walk away from the 80, and that's
Yes.
difficult for a lot of people.
Yes,
So I know where,
yes, yes. And
yeah.
thank you so
So
much for pointing that out, David, because
yeah,
that's something, in fact, you know what? As during this rebranding, that is exactly what I'm in the process of doing right now. Walking away from that percentage that's not really serving you.
mm,
You know, we're going to attract everything, right? But we aren't for everybody.
yeah.
And sometimes we're just going to not be
Well,
a
that's
great
the
fit.
confidence you're talking about.
Say that
Uh,
again, I'm sorry.
I mean, that's the confidence you're talking about. Just being
Yes,
okay that, you know what, you're not for everybody,
that's it.
right?
Absolutely.
And yeah,
Absolutely. And what's going to happen to help people, and the one last message that's attached to what I just shared, was people that are attracted to you, regardless of who they are and where they're at, as you start to grow and elevate and scale personally and professionally, you are going to repel them at some point. At some
mm,
point in time, your growth is going to make them feel uncomfortable,
that's right.
and they're going to find some little negative thing to nitpick or to critique and criticize. But that's not necessarily to be taken personal. That's not your personal issue. That's their personal problem. Because if you just continue to show up as your true authentic self, if it doesn't work out, that's just the natural process of growth. While you're growing, they want to remain the same and they're resisting growing with you. And everybody can't go where you're going. So just say it's a healthy season of separation. It's time to separate. Our working together, our period or moment of working together has ended. But it doesn't mean that I don't care for them and I don't want to still see them succeed, or that they don't want to see me succeed. But whatever it is that they came for, maybe they received what they wanted and that was all that they needed. And or maybe I needed to now choose a little bit better or a little bit different so that I can now get to the next level that's for me. So and let me just say this.
Yeah.
When I made that decision up here in my mind, I made that decision because they see your worth, right? They just hope you don't. So when they don't and you do, you now start seeing all of the missed opportunities that I possibly and possibilities that I have access to, but that I cannot have until I have that healthy season of separation. So because of that, David, as soon as I made that decision, I got a movie role presented to me that's closing in a couple of weeks. As soon as I made that decision, an offer to be a vice president in a startup and an advisor to a startup, the vice president over operations, doing exactly what I did as a regional manager with Supercuts for 11 years, where I scaled a company along with the powerful team, of course, from 45 stores to 500 stores in less than 2 years. And it's in an article in the Business Insider, by the way. So now here I am right back to square one, but in a completely different place with a ton of experience, much more experience than I had back then when I had a lot of phenomenal success. But now all of these other opportunities with people on completely different levels who have also been working on their personal development, which is vital if you're in business of any kind, to constantly work on your personal development so that you attract better. And when you attract better, you do better. And when you know better, you do better as well. So that's what I would leave everybody with today.
So, amen. Great. Thank you for sharing that. Amazing.
Right,
Appreciate
welcome.
you coming on the show. It
Thank
was
you.
awesome. I think we may have to do a round two because there's probably a lot more to talk about here, but just want to say thank you. And I look forward to seeing you in Clubhouse.
Absolutely.
And
thank you for the opportunity. It was a privilege, David.
You got it. And we have a Clubhouse room open right now. We'll probably hang out in here for a little bit longer.
Awesome.
If you want to jump in, and we'll talk about like some of the things we talked about right here. So
absolutely.
Thank you again.
Well, thank you so much again. And it was a pleasure. Bye-bye.